You know, I work with a lot of people in very difficult, very dysfunctional, very painful relationships. A lot of those are difficult marriages, or they're long-term difficult relationships where people are trying to figure out the dynamics, trying to figure out what's not okay, what their boundaries are. One of the things that comes up often is the question, what do I need changed in the relationship? How do I know if I should stay or if I should end it? How do I know if we separate that it's time to get back together? How do I know if there's any hope? And if I'm working in counseling or, on the relationship, how do I know if there's change? And those are great questions. And I find that most of the time, people that are even thinking about separation or divorce can't really answer the question of what they need changed in order to continue in the relationship. So I suggest that you do something called identify the behavior. So this is how that works. What you want to do is you want to say, what are the minimal changes that have to occur for me to stay in this relationship, or if I am separated for a time, for me to be willing to re-engage, get back together with this person because I now feel that there's hope or that we can move forward. What are the minimal things? Why not the maximum things? Because we are not looking to change someone else into a perfect person that we create. We're looking for what it would take in order to stay in the relationship that would make it bearable and okay and healthy. So what does that mean? Well, it means instead of saying, I want you to treat me better, that you identify specifically what it means to treat me better. So you want to list things that you have to have changed that are observable behaviors, things that you could literally take a check sheet and count. That happened 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, or not at all. Or the opposite happened 5 times. You want to be able to count. You want to be able to know. Now, this is good because it gives you feedback. It lets you know if those things that are your bottom line minimal changes are or are not occurring. This will make it simple for you to figure out, should I get back together with this person? Is there hope for change? So what you do is you take what you need, like treat me better. What does that mean? Well, that might mean do not call me names. Do not put me down in front of the children. Do not withhold money when you are not happy with what I've done. What about put my name on all the bank accounts? That would be for someone whose spouse does not have them on bank accounts. It might be include me in decisions. And then you might want to say which ones. Anything having to do with money over a certain amount, or anything having to do with vacations, or anything having to do with the children. It might be something like admit when you are wrong. Validate my concerns and let me know that you have heard me. Do not discount my feelings. And then you might give an explanation of what discount feelings is so somebody knows. In other words, make fun of my feelings or tell me that they are not valid or important. So what you're doing too is you're kind of showing or training or teaching the other person what you need. Because if you tell your partner, I don't like the way you treat me better. Your partner's like, well, maybe better to your partner is something that's not better to you. It might be the exact opposite. Or the person might really genuinely be willing to change but not have a clue as to how to do it. The other advantage to this is it allows you to give a list to the other person. These are the minimal changes that have to be made. They're very behaviorally observable. They make sense to the other person. The person can look at them and say, I'm not willing to do that, or I am willing to do that, or I'm willing to do all but number 5. Then you have the opportunity to assess whether it's worth putting any more time into that relationship. That person can also give you a list, which can sometimes be scary, but it's actually really good. It gives you information about what your partner expects from you and wants you to change. You too can look at that list and say, I'm not willing to do that. Maybe on that list it says, move in with my parents, and you're, no, I'm not willing to do that. Move in with my parents to save money. I can't do that. Or it might say, quit your job and help me, do this thing, support me with my work or support me in the new business. It will give you an opportunity to see where this other person is at. So identify the behavior means that you consider, 1, what are the minimal changes that have to happen? 2, you write those things down in observable behaviors that can be counted. Sometimes you share it with the other person, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you use it as your own list to assess whether you think the person can do those things. You might work with it with a counselor, or you just might be, like I said, the thing that you keep to say, have these changes been made to where I'm willing to continue in the relationship? This is a really, really helpful tool. So hang on to this. It might not even be just a relationship. Maybe it's going to be used in you figuring out what are the conditions that your adult child can continue to stay at home, or what are the conditions that have to change in order for you to continue a relationship with a very critical, toxic parent or sibling or a friend who tends to be kind of negative. So all of these things will, this is a tool for all your relationships when you're making a decision about whether or not things are changing enough for you to continue in the relationship. So thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship. I hope that this has been really helpful for you today.